We just saw Night at the Museum Part 3, and on this show I take my friends, we go see a movie, we review it in the car, and we have a discussion. The review part is spoiler-free, so if you're on the fence and looking for a recommendation, watch that part, tune out before we get into the second part, and in the second part we'll get into further discussion, potentially go into spoilers, so if you've already seen the movie or don't care to see it, just want to know everything we thought, you can watch the whole thing and find out everything about what we thought. So, A Night at the Museum, I enjoyed the first installment. I saw the second installment as sort of a harmless, sort of holiday kind of movie. I think I went and saw it with some of my siblings, obviously adult siblings, and we just went, because it was kind of a harmless movie to go see. It's entertaining. The first one I think is more entertaining than the other ones. This one had sort of a way of wrapping up. It felt more like a conclusion than the second one did. It didn't feel like just another adventure. It felt like a conclusion. But that being said, it wasn't that exciting of an adventure. It's all really stuff we've seen before and done before. Sort of the villain character that they have to, chase after or convince or deal with in this, starts out really interesting and then becomes extremely boring and just tired and put through its paces. It looked to me for a minute that it was going to have a really nice, clean ending, and then they sort of waffle on that at the end and in my opinion kind of nerf it. But for a kids movie, I understand that maybe that was a decision that they felt like they had to make. I don't know. It's not offensive and it's not terrible, but it really feels like a bunch of people going through the motions. I didn't feel like anybody was particularly excited or that they had written a very, the movie wasn't like a laugh a minute funny. There wasn't as much of the historical juxtaposition stuff as you would normally see. There was really about one scene that I really thought was clever. That and there's moments like that are good. Like that almost ending thing is very good, and the scene that I talked about was very good, but none of it really justifies the whole rest of the movie existing. So who would I recommend it to? I would say, if you have kids that are fans of the series so far, or again, if you're looking for an inoffensive thing to take all of the family to, no one's going to be upset with this movie. No one's going to walk out of this movie going, I can't believe I wasted my time on this. But it's, it's not as good as the first one. It's probably about as good as the second one. The only thing that makes it maybe better than the second one is that it actually feels like a concluding chapter as opposed to just a recycle of the same script over again, the same adventure over again. So I wouldn't bother seeing it in the theater unless you've seen all the other holiday movies that are out that or that's the one that you can get your family to agree to see. Other than that, I'd just wait for it on a rental or not bother. What'd you think?
I'm not a big fan of this series. I thought the first movie was okay at best. The second movie was absolute garbage. This third movie, I'm a little conflicted about what I think about it, because I don't know if it's my fondness for Robin Williams that made me think it was better than it is. Mm-hmm. And I might think different about it tomorrow, but I liked it. I liked it. I wouldn't suggest going to see it in theaters. It would be a complete waste of time. But if you red box it one day, then that's not going to be bad. Especially if you've got kids that probably like the series. I liked the fact that the story of the museum, the tablet, is kind of secondary to a moreover story of the idea of letting go. Mm-hmm. I thought that was really well done, and the end had a huge emotional punch, which of course they ruined about 10 seconds later.
Right.
I honestly, thinking back to that scene where they kind of nerf the ending, it feels like they closed the book and then they were like, let's leave it open a little bit just in case we decide to come back.
Yeah, and I don't know how much of that. I doubt that that's we want to come back to this, we need to leave the door open, so much as it's we don't want kids to walk out of the theater in tears. Like, we don't want...
Possibly.
We don't want anybody to feel like this was a downer ending.
Possibly.
Yeah.
But... because had they ended it where they should have ended it...
It would have been more satisfying, but I think there are some people that would have felt that it was... depressing.
It would have been. It
Yeah.
would have been. It would have been in a good, like, I've got closure kind of way. Not depressing for the sake of being depressing.
Yeah.
So,
But I could see kids going like,
why did this
they
happen?
killed everyone.
Nemo dies right off the bat. They kill his entire family.
Yeah. So before we get into that, here's the cutoff point. Basically, don't bother. It's not that great. If you're dying to see it anyway, you're going to go see it regardless of what we say. And if you watch it and it's your favorite movie in the world, good for you. I'm not going to take it away from you. It just isn't for me. So, getting into more of a discussion of it, there's the plot, which is that the tablet is suddenly fading away and they can't figure out what to do to fix it. And they find out that the guy that knows is in the British Museum, so they take the tablet there to make all the people in the British Museum come to life, which sounds like we're going to get a bunch of new characters, we're going to get a bunch of new stuff going on. Really, we get Lancelot, and that's about it. We get Lancelot, and we get the guy that knows what's going on.
And the Triceratops.
For a second. And he's completely the same as the T-Rex and the other one. So it's like, we don't really get new people. And that's fair, because they're really trying to, like, say goodbye to the characters we already know, which they all come along. They all stow away and go to England anyway. So they find out that the only thing they have to do to fix the tablet is put it out in the moonlight. Okay. Wow. So then what you were talking about before as well, the other side of it is the letting go thing. And there's Ben Stiller letting go of his son, who's old enough to kind of go
to college, go off.
Well, go off and take care of himself. Like,
Yeah.
he's obviously 18 or whatever, and he can he doesn't need to, like, protect him or control his life or anything like that anymore. And then they also decide that they're going to leave the tablet and the Egyptian pharaoh with his family in the British Museum. And so the end of the movie is basically they bring everybody back just in time for them to say goodbye, and then they're going to revert back to being museum pieces forever. And we go through that with Ben Stiller basically says goodbye to each character individually. There's not like a big group. So he says goodbye to everybody individually, and it's kind of satisfying, like, that he's doing that, and it all wraps up, and Robin Williams is the final one to go, which Robin Williams was also the first one that, like, came to life, I believe. He's got second billing. I think he's been fairly important in the series, if I'm not not wrong about that. And then they leave. And that to me felt like a really satisfying way to end a trilogy of movies. And then it suddenly says 3 years later, and Rebel Wilson has brought the tablets back to America for, a tour, a week, whatever they're going to do. Yeah. And she goes into Ricky Gervais' office and tells him, actually this is real. And the tablet glows and everybody comes to life and they go out and they party. And then, everybody's alive again. And then it pans outside and Ben Stiller's like standing across the street, sort of looking up and smiling. And then
credits.
It goes to credits. So, yeah, I don't think that they did that so that they would have a way to resurrect the series. I think that the smarter way to resurrect the series would have been to figure out who was going to be involved in it when they resurrect it, and then come up with a storyline to have another museum come to life. Like, if Ben Stiller comes back, how do they put him back into it? Or if Rebel Wilson ends up running it, how does that all work out? Rebel Wilson would have been the easier one to do because the tablets are already in the British Museum. But I think what it was that they, what I wanted as an adult as a satisfying conclusion is not what
the target
7-year-olds would want from this. They would want to see, everything come back to life one more time. So,
and really that satisfying conclusion is kind of where I'm conflicted. I can't decide if that was just really great, which right now I feel that it was. Was that because Robin Williams and of course even Rooney, who shows up earlier in the film, they're dead, and we said goodbye to them right there at the end, and in a pretty definitive way, and that was just like, ugh.
To me, it was satisfying because it wasn't satisfying because it was Robin Williams. It wasn't satisfying because I missed those characters. It was satisfying because they finally made a sequel that appears to be definitively the end. Like, they didn't make another open-ended sequel to this franchise.
Yeah.
They acknowledge that this is over. That's what I mean when I say that I was satisfied by it. It didn't make me sad. It didn't it didn't punch me in the gut to see Robin Williams die or turn back to wax or whatever.
It kind of did me. I was just like, I was just like, oh man, that was brutal. But I mean that again, I'm a little bit younger, so I actually grew up with Robin Williams on Top of the World. So it was like saying goodbye to somebody that had been there my entire life.
I get it. I just don't like. Did he have 10 lines in the movie?
If most of it was him turned into wax.
Yeah, there wasn't much to his character. And like I said earlier, if you watch the first one, and even the second one, there's more. They do more things with that character that are even sadder.
True,
than this.
But the actor that played him at the time that those movies came out was dead. And that's what I'm saying. I was like, did I like it?
Yeah.
Or am I just sentimental right now?
Yeah, I'm going to go with sentimental.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with sentimental. I mean, and it's not... There were not... It wasn't an emotional ending. It wasn't... the monkey had a more emotional scene than Robin Williams.
True.
The Owen Wilson and Steve Coogan, you could tell that they were doing their best to be those characters again, but they did not want to be there. They looked like they were just all right, we done?
Cut me a check.
Yeah, let's go. And Owen Wilson did the like hold me thing, and they just cut away from him. It's like, yeah, we're not animating that. Yeah, we're not putting that together. That's another $10,000 worth of effects work.
Yeah, and it 90% probably is a lot of sentimentality on my part, but
Or more.
yeah, most definitely sentimentality on my part. I was kind of like, oh, goodbye, Robin Williams. Not even goodbye, Teddy Roosevelt. Goodbye, Robin Williams. And so that scene hit me a little bit harder than it normally would have.
Yeah.
So
fair enough.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's the night at the museum. Hope you enjoy the review. If you like the way we do these, please like the video, subscribe. Check out all the written and video reviews over at DaleMaxfield.com. Thanks for watching.